So often, as acoustic music appreciators, we take tradition for what it is and we just go with the flow. I mean, let's look at guitar X-bracing. We're looking at easily well over 100 years before Andy Powers at Taylor Guitars questioned it. I mean, on a large scale. Yes, there were questions before, right? But this year, Taylor Guitars releases the V-Class bracing, and everybody's all up in arms because, holy smokes, guitars are supposed to be X-braced, and what do we do? Well, I love it when this happens, right? It feels like progress is happening. It feels like we're moving, and I love that. I mean, do I love X-braced guitars? Yes. Do I love the new Taylor V-Class guitars? Yes, absolutely. But that's not even the point of what I'm talking about right now. I want to talk about banjos. For probably 150 years, banjos were essentially, well, they still are essentially, it's a drum head with strings and a neck, right? But actually setting up a banjo and tuning that drum head is a huge pain in the rear end. I mean, you're looking at 20 hooks and brackets. You got to take the resonator off, go around with your tool and tighten each and every one. And setting up a banjo can take, I mean, it's a commitment. It's easily a half a bottle bourbon commitment, maybe even more. Time, not bourbon. So there's a man in Bloomington, Minnesota by the name of Tom Nechville who was like, there's got to be a better way. He questioned tradition, and holy smokes, the result is absolutely stunning. Tom Nechville of Nechville Banjos, again, from Bloomington, Minnesota. Did I say Montana at first? I might have said Bloomington, Montana.
I didn't catch it.
I confuse Minnesota and Montana a lot. I've lived in both. Anyways, Bloomington, Minnesota. Tom Nechville was really frustrated because he wanted to play more banjo. Less tinkering, more banjo, right? So what he did was he developed a whole system that it's called the Heli-Mount system. It's a single piece rim that sits upon the tone ring, in his case a cyclotronic tone rim. Very, very futuristic terms here. And the whole head, the whole system turns to tighten the head in a uniform fashion. So what used to take forever and involve one tool with 20 different lugs literally now involves still only one tool, but a couple turns, and the whole head is tensioned. And that's just one of the advancements that he has made. I mean, we're talking he developed the inline tailpiece, he developed the Enterprise bridge, he developed the comfort bevel armrest, and the quick cam neck attachment, which literally allows you to adjust the neck angle within seconds, or if you want to, take the entire neck off easily. I mean, I've seen this done. I've seen Tom do this in person. In about 10 minutes, he can disassemble an entire banjo. And in that same amount of time, he can put it back together and have it set up and ready to go. I'm not even exaggerating here. Now, I met Tom probably, oh my gosh, 13, 14 years ago when I still worked in Chicago at the Old Town School of Folk Music, and I was able to see him do this firsthand, and it was mind-blowing. And I want you to see him do this as well. So I actually found this really cool video by, I think it was Minnesota Public Television, and it just features Tom, and he shares some thoughts about his invention, and you have to see it. So let's actually hear it from Tom himself.
Here's one I wrote called Keep On Playing. A lot of parts in the banjo. It made me realize that the banjo is really sort of an inefficient machine. And I think the gears started turning back in the early 80s. Well, how about a banjo head that screws on like the cap of a jar? A totally different kind of banjo rather than trying to copy the banjos that had been around for years. Well, here we are in the Neckville shop where we're storing wood and letting it dry. I've got walnut, maple, mahogany, and rosewood that we use for various purposes, mostly building necks and tone rings. I started playing banjo when I was 17, and I reached a point where I became a tinkerer and a builder. I built my first traditional banjo back in the early 1980s. The main difference between this and a traditional banjo, it's not only aesthetics, but it's mechanical. This is a traditional banjo that has traditional drum hardware And this has been around for probably 150 years. I'm trying to simplify the design to keep everyone's banjo more tunable and more ready to play. And this is the main invention that really sets Nechville's banjos apart from the others. There's really only two kinds of banjos in the world. There's Nechville, Heli-Mounts, and then there's traditional banjos. So the design is pretty simple. It's the head goes in. Think of this as the cap of a jar. And then if we want to screw this on, we have to have something to screw it onto. This would be considered the threaded lip of the jar that screws in. And we're going to put something in between there, the tone ring. Now this is a metal and wood tone ring system with a Teflon strip. And we pop that in place. The retaining ring is threaded. That screws in. And you turn that, get that started. And then once that gets started, then we have wrenches like this to tighten it up with. I don't have to tighten each individual hook and nut. I have one mechanism that tightens the whole banjo at once. So if I had all the parts in front of me, I think I could probably put one of these together in just a few minutes. The standard design does require a lot more time to get all the nuts and hooks equally tight.
To me, it's just amazing to see that last portion of the video where it's side by side. You have the one assembly of the traditional banjo and the one assembly of the Nechville banjo. And the fact that Tom has done in a matter of no time, and the poor fella assembling the traditional banjo is barely even started. It really drives home the fact that how truly easy it is. Now, I think this is one of those developments that I think it's a big deal. Now, if you go to the Neckville website, and of course you can get there at acousticlife.tv, click on episode 40 and you'll see a link to Nechville Banjos website. If you page through that site, you're going to see a ton of different models offered. I mean, everything from the vintage, the classic, the Orion, the Athena, the Galaxy, the Phantom. I mean, you get the theme. There's some futuristic names, but what I love about the banjos is that they all have this really incredible tone, but aesthetically, they're all very different. But they all have this very cool invention, this Heli-Mount system that I think is truly revolutionary. In fact, so much so, Tom Nechville, the kind of the slogan of the website is "Join the Banjo Revolution." Now, I had a chance, as I mentioned before, to try these banjos way back when. I mean, 13, 14 years ago, maybe at this point. It makes me feel crazy. In just 2 days, my son's going to turn 11, and it's a little stunning. But I had a chance to try them way back when, and then. I had a chance to try them recently here in Montana. In fact, I've got a little portion of that demo. I'd love for you to actually hear these banjos in action. So let's listen to that real quick. Now, clearly that was a couple tattoos ago, but as you can tell, the banjos really sound, they have that classic sound. So I would encourage you, any banjo enthusiast out there, open back or bluegrass style, check out Nechville Banjos. They're really amazing pieces of work. And again, it all stems from somebody questioning tradition, which I think is just a fascinating question in and of itself, aside from banjos and guitars. It's just kind of a neat thing. So cheers to progress, and cheers to Nechville Banjos. Make sure to check those out.